everybody, it's Wendy, and today we are going to make a beautiful multi-strand bracelet using products from the December Jessie James Magical Mystery Bead Box. But first, our encouraging word for today is focus on the good. And goodness, I need to do better about this in my own life. But it makes a huge difference if you do. It really does. Makes life better. Okay, so the Jessie James Magical Mystery Bead Box for December was absolutely amazing. It's called Starry Night, and I'm going to make a bracelet using this. So it is a subscription box that Jessie James Beads puts out. You can sign up for flexible terms. They have a 1-year term, they have a shorter term, so I will put a link in the description box below and you can get on there and check that out and see, what might be the right fit for you. But it's very flexible, and yeah, it's a great, great box. So I have been unboxing this for a while now, and it is never, ever a disappointment. So I will show you what you're going to need. This is the December bead box again. And the first thing that we're going to be using is Starry Night. This is a Heishi bead polymer clay strand. Okay, we're going to be using that. We're going to be using beads from all of the mixes that were in this box this month. So I have just pulled out, let me lay them over here. So I have pulled out beads from every mix. So let me just show you what I have from each one. So I have these rondelles here. I have these cat eye ovals. I have these 2 yellow swirlies. I've got these star cut or English cut royal blue beads. I've got these little flat rondelles in this kind of really pretty turquoise color. I have these tiny rondelles, and this is kind of a periwinkle. It's so pretty. Love this color right here. So I've pulled out basically all of the smallest beads from each mix. Here are these tiny little purple rondelles. Okay, there they are. We've got these electroplated blue little barrel-shaped beads. These little kind of opal white rondelles. So a bunch of different little small beads out of each of the mixes. And then I have, these are some of the flat rondelles. I love these because of the sparkle. And then these are some faceted glass beads. Okay, so I've pulled out basically just the small beads out of every mix. So the mixes are the Celestial mix, the Stardust mix, the Aurora Borealis mix, and I've pulled out beads from each one of those. Even the metals from the Stardust mix, I've pulled out the antique silver and the bright silver of the metals out of the Stardust mix. Okay, so that's these right here. And then I have this large bead with the bead caps. This was on the Moonstruck strand, okay? And some of these smaller beads are from it as well. So the Moonstruck strand, the Celestial mix, the Aurora Borealis mix, and the Stardust mix, okay? And then this is the Starry Night strand. So that's what we've got so far. Then I have some wire guards and some 2x2 crimp tubes. Now these wire guards, someone asked the other day, I always buy 5mm. They just seem to fit everything, and I've never had a problem with them. So they're 5mm wire guards and 2x2 crimp tubes. This is just a ring, just a regular little closed ring. We have a lobster claw clasp. I have a bunch of ball head pins here because we're going to be making a bunch of wrapped loop dangles. Okay. I have some oval jump rings, little oval jump rings in here. I have 2 lengths of tiger tail, and I've probably got 10 inches, but we'll be making it smaller than that. But 2 lengths of, and this is 19 strand tiger tail. And somebody asked the other day too if tiger tail and beading wire are the same. It is basically the same. It is 19 strands of wire woven together and coated in like a nylon coating sort of thing, and so it's called tiger tail, it's called beading wire. So yeah, that's what we're using. And then I have a length of artistic wire here. This is 20 gauge This is what this is, 20 gauge artistic wire, craft wire, and we're going to be making a eye pin for this big bead out of it. Okay, so you will need your jewelry tools, and I believe that's everything. Oh, and I'm using this chain. I'm sorry, this is the Starstruck chain, and we're going to be using some of it as well. So there's everything. I am going to clear this up a little bit so we've got some room to work, and we'll get started. This is really not a difficult bracelet at all. It just has a lot of little moving parts. So, all right, so the first thing I'm going to do is take my big bead here, and we're going to create an eye pin. And the reason that I need to do this is because my regular eye pins, the loop on the bottom is very tiny, and I'm going to need to be able to hook 3 strands with wire guardians onto this. And also I can create a wrapped loop with this wire, and that will keep, you know, this might open and then they would come apart. So I think this is a more secure way of doing it. So I am just going to take my wire and my chain nose pliers. I am going to come down about, I don't know, maybe a little more even, about this far. What is that, like 1.5 inches probably? And I'm going to bend this 90 degrees, just like that. Then I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I have to decide where I want the loop, how big I want it to be. I don't want it to be huge, but I want it to be big enough that, you know, obviously the 3 little wire guardians, excuse me, 4 little wire, or 3 wire guardians, or 2 wire guardians, and a little link can fit on there. So I'm going to come, I don't know, on your round nose pliers, the higher up you go, obviously the bigger your loop is going to be. So I'm going to come right about here. So if you can see that, I'm going to come up and over with my wire, and then I'm just going to rotate these pliers up like this and just bring this on, under, and around, and that's what I have. Little loop. Okay, then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and hold this here. Now I do need to decide, I think I may go ahead and put my chain on here so I don't have to attach it with a jump ring. So I'm just going to take the link on this chain and slide it right onto my wire. Make sure. Okay, and so I'm just going to go ahead and open this up a little bit and slide this right up into there. That way I won't have to attach this chain on with a jump ring. I would rather do it like this. Okay, so then I'm going to hold my wire with my pliers right here, and I'm going to take my other pliers, and I'm just going to very carefully and kind of, I want to make this a neat wrap. I'm just going to go around a few times here. Just a couple of times. I'm not really wanting a big wrap, just enough to secure it. Okay, so there it is, and now I'm going to trim that wire right off. Right here. And if you need to tuck it in, just, you know, make sure there's no little snaggy parts sticking out that would hurt anybody or catch on clothes, and tuck it right in there. Okay, so there's our little wrapped loop for one end. Now I'm going to put my bead cap, my big bead cap on here, my big bead, and my other big bead cap, just like this. And we're going to make another wrapped loop on this end. Now, this end is going to hook onto our ring. So I think I may go ahead and just hook it on as I wrap. So let's go ahead and bend this 90 degrees, just like we did last time. Now it will need to be a fairly big loop. Actually, I'm going to go up just a tad bit and bend it so I've got room to make the loop. There we go, just like that. So this is going to have to be a bigger loop to hook onto this ring. So I'm going to go a little larger on my pliers here. Probably about, right about halfway. I'm going to come up and over, just like I did on the last one. Rotate my plier up and come around. And I'm going to go ahead and untangle this chain and take my ring and just go ahead and put it right on here. Okay. Just like that. Now I have to make sure that my loop is big enough, and I think it is. I think it's going to be just fine. So I'm going to grab my loop right here, bring it on around, kind of close it up. Okay, then I'm going to grab it, and I'm just going to go ahead and wrap. And I want to wrap down close to my bead cap so that everything stays tight. And this one's a little more of a wrap than the other one because I came down a little ways, but that's okay. Just keep going around till you get it where you want it. And then I'm just going to take my pliers and trim it right off. And then make sure that it's tucked good. Okay. There we go. And then you can straighten this up if it's a little bit crooked. You can even take your pliers and kind of put them in here and just try to round that out just a little bit more. There we go. And there it is. Okay, so we've got our hook, or not our hook, our big bead, our chain, and this is going to come around and hook onto the lobster, which will hook onto this. Okay? So for our lobster, I'm going to go ahead and put it on here on the other end because this will give me a good indication of how long I need this middle strand to be. So let's go ahead and measure. I'll lay my ruler out here and make sure you get up to the end of that ring and come on down. So a 7-inch bracelet is pretty common sizing, I believe, 6.5 to 7 inches. So I'm going to go right at this 7-inch mark right here, and I'm going to cut this little piece off. Yeah, I want to use a little more solid jump ring on that, I think. Okay. And I'm a little over 7, so I think I need to go back a piece. I should have paid more attention, but I can use this as a little drop on something maybe later. Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay, now I'm going to take one of my oval jump rings and I'm going to attach this right on. Okay, so right like this, just attach it right onto this little link and close it up for now. Okay, so this will be the length of our bracelet. So it comes out right a little over 7.5, almost 8 inches, which is okay. It's going to come around and clasp right onto here. Okay, so we need now to make our little strands that we're going to use on either side of this chain. So I've got some tiger tail here, and what I'm going to do, see, this is going to come around and clasp right onto here. So my strands need to attach from here to here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use a wire guardian and a crimp, and I'm going to put my crimp bead on, and I'm going to go ahead and go up this first channel of the wire guardian and around and down through the second channel, but I'm not going back through the crimp bead yet. So here's what I've got, just like that. Now I'm going to take this and hook it onto my little focal here. And what you want to make sure of is this bead chain, I want it to be in the middle. So I want to make sure on this ring that I hook a wire guardian on this side and a wire guardian on this side, so that bead chain stays, or that chain stays in the middle. So I'm going on the one side, and then I'm going to go back down through my crimp bead. Okay. Now I like to take these wire guardians and kind of bend them together just a little bit. It's just a personal preference. You don't have to do that, but I like to. And then what we're going to do is crimp this closed. So with crimping, you have to make sure, I'm going to turn it this way so you can see, that these two little pieces of tiger tail lay side by side and are not crossed. Okay? And you're going to take your plier with the divot end down, and you're going to grab this and just press down. And as you can see, when you do that, it puts one little wire strand in each chamber. It makes 2 little tunnels there, basically. Okay, so that's what you do there. And then you're going to take your crimp pliers, and we're going to rotate them vertical into one of these top little divots, and we're going to squeeze it, and it's going to fold that crimp right over and close it up. Okay, and you can squeeze it a couple times if you have to, and I just realized I don't have my glasses on, that's why I can't see. Okay, there we go. Okay, and there's our little crimp. It closes up, makes a perfect little crimp. Okay, so for this side of the chain, I think we'll go ahead and do our Heishi bead strand first because it's going to be a little quicker than our other strand. So I'm just going to cut this apart, and when you do, they're going to go everywhere. These little Heishi beads, but I want to get them all off because I want to use some of these darker ones that are up towards the top. All right, so we have a bunch of these, and I want to mix them with these metals. Okay, so I'm just going to start kind of randomly picking them up and trying to space out the colors a little bit. So I don't want to put the same colors side by side. I'm trying to mix it up. So I'm going to do 4 and then one of these little middle spacers, just like that. And I'm just going to keep picking up these beads, kind of just randomly. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm thinking 4 and a metal piece sounds like a good number. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we're going to do 4 and a metal piece, and I'm going to vary these metal pieces. Like, I'm not going to do all the same thing. I'm going to do like 4 and then this little flatter or littler bead, and then 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then another metal bead of a different color, different type. Okay, so see how that's looking? And then 4 more. So just keep doing that until we get our whole length that we need beaded. And the good thing about the fact that we put on our lobster and everything already is we know exactly where we need to bead to. So we stretch this out. We know we need to bead right up to here to this jump ring. So go ahead and fill up your strand and come right on back. Okay, so I've got my whole strand filled up and I'm back here, and we're just going to finish the other end the same way that we did every other one that we've done so far. Okay, so we're just going to put on a crimp bead. We are going to put on our little wire guardian, come up over and around and back through our crimp. Whoop, wait a minute, don't go back through your crimp bead. Sorry. Come up over and around your wire guardian, pull this down. Now we need to hook it on. So I'm going to go directly through my jump ring here. And you could finish it and then go through, but I'm just going to do it this way since it's already here. There we go. Okay. And like I said before, we want to make sure that it's laying the right way, and it is. Okay. So now we're just going to take this, go back through our crimp and a few of these beads on the strand, just like this, and pull them through. And just try to be careful not to kink up your tiger tail, because it will get kinked up there. You just have to kind of pull carefully. There we go. All right, and here we go. Let's just check everything. Make sure that it's sitting correctly. Feels like it is. There we go. Okay. I just kind of pull and tug and just make sure everything feels like it's going to sit right. Now, my crimp bead did go down into my Heishi bead, which is a problem. So I'm going to have to pull that out. And what I'm going to have to do, let me get it out of there first. Okay. So what I'm going to have to do is grab it with my pliers here. So I'm just going to grab my crimp bead in that little channel that I'm going to crimp it into and just put a little pressure on it and then pull, and just make sure that you know, it's tight, but it doesn't go down into those Haitian beads. And then I'm going to crimp it down. It's kind of a delicate little balance there. You have to kind of do it quickly and just, you know, do the best you can. And then I'm going to turn it and close it up, and it's fine if it goes down into your bead now. That's actually, you know, a good thing to cover it up, but I just didn't want it to go down in there before I had it crimped closed. Okay, and then we're going to cut this right off, and there's our second strand. Now, our third strand is going to be a bunch of dangles, and so I'm going to show you how that we're going to make these dangles, and then I'm going to let you go and make them because it does take a while. But I've got some ball head pins here, and we can go ahead and put on our next strand of tiger tail if we want to, and that way we'll kind of know our length again. That makes it easy to tell your length. So I'll put my crimp on, go in this channel of my wire guard, down through the other side. Okay. And then I want to make sure that I hook it on this side of the chain on my little ring here. And then I'm going to go right down through the crimp. Pull that up. I bend that in a little. And then make sure that my wires aren't crossed, and they are. So I'm going to uncross them. Make sure everything's tight, and then crimp it right down. Okay, turn it vertical. It's a little hard to do with these beads on there, but you can do it, and close it right up. Okay, so now we have our next layer, or our next chain on here. So all you've got to do, we're going to do is bead it, but we're going to create a bunch of dangles for this one. So I'm just going to take all these little beads. I may use some of the metals in here too, possibly. I'm not going to use the polymer clay beads, the Haitian beads, so just these beads. And what I'm going to do, I may keep some of these bigger ones, these flatter rondelles, the large ones, and these larger white, clear, or not white, but clear beads out, because I may have to put some beads on the strand to space these out a little, okay? I hope that makes sense. So first of all, I'm going to keep these out, and I'm going to put all of these on dangles, and I'm just going to do one bead per dangle, okay? So the way we do this, make a little wrapped loop, is we put the bead on, we bend this 90 degrees, and these can be tiny loops. They don't have to be big because it's just going over wire, or over your tiger tail. Come up over and around, rotate your plier up, come all the way under. You got your little loop there, and just wrap a couple times around and cut it off. And that is your little dangle, okay? And just cut it right off there. And then you can tuck that if you need to. But we're going to do that with all of these beads, okay, all these beads. So go ahead, make all your dangles, and then come right on back. Okay, and the camera quit recording. So I'm on my third little dangle here, 4 and 5. And then I'm going to do one of the round beads, the faceted rounds, 5 more dangles. And I'm just going to keep doing this, 5 dangles, one of the clear beads, and 5 more dangles until we get to the end. So do the same with yours, and then come right on back. Okay, so now we're down at the end, and I did my clear bead, my spacer, my clear bead, just like on this other end. So now we're going to finish it. So we're just going to put our crimp bead on, our wire guardian, go up and over the wire guardian, and then we want to go ahead and hook it on, and again we want to make sure that we hook it on the other side of that chain so it's not crossing over anywhere. Just like this. Okay, pull everything up tight. And then we need to go back down through the crimp bead and back down through a couple of these guys right here. That'll work. And pull it tight, okay? So here's what we have. Now I am going to loosen that up just a little. I don't want it to be so tight that it's stick straight. Just going to loosen it just a tad. There we go. That did it. Okay, and that looks good right about there, I think. Okay. Now, we just have to crimp this over here. So I'm going to take my crimping pliers and I'm just going to crimp this right down. Okay, turn it sideways and crimp it closed. There we go. And then we can trim this off. And here we have it. It is a cute little bracelet. I love the colors on this. And I really fully intend to make a pair of earrings using the these beads that came with this Magical Mystery bead box as well. I think those would be really pretty with this. So let me go ahead. Actually, let me just see if I can put it on here. Yeah, it fits me pretty perfectly. But I'm not good with putting these things on by myself. Let me see if I can get it really quick. If not, I'll put it on a form up there on my light box for you. There we go. I think I can get it. There we go. So that is what it looks like. We've got our little chain strand in the middle, our Heishi bead strand, and our little fun, you know, crazy drop, or, you know, whatever these are, little, goodness, charms or drops. And then we have our big bead over here that, you know, you could wear it this way if you wanted to. Either way. But I think it turned out super cute. I love these colors. I think this is one of the best Magical Mystery bead boxes that they've ever done. So, like I said, check out the link in the description box below. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.